Okay, Ramjammers, a great pleasure in bringing to you the HOX interview you've all been waiting for.
Hello?
Hello there, is that Catherine?
Yes, this is she.
Hi, Catherine. It's DJ Gloss here from Ramjam Radio in London. How are you?
I'm blessed, thank you. How are you?
Very well indeed, thank you. Very well indeed. Well, you're coming through nice and clear, so that's a good start.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Good. Yeah, absolutely right. So, how's the weather where you are today, and where are you?
It is cold. I'm in New York.
You're in New York. It's cold in New York, is it?
Yeah, it's not very spring-like right now. It's like low 40s. It was 39 degrees when I woke up this morning. It was terrible.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not been great in London either, so by any consolation, it's not that much better here, to be fair. So There you go. And, of course, we're a little bit further on in the day here. It's evening here, so, you know, it's still sort of fairly grey and not very exciting out, but there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you in a car, did you say?
I am.
That's usually a good place. Do you know, everyone I've interviewed in New York has been in a car. It must be a New York
multitasking.
No problem with that at all. Okay, I was going to start sort of very early on in your life, if I could, with the first question, which was really, where did it all begin with you musically, and what age?
Okay. Well, I've been singing for my whole life. And when I was literally like a baby, I would turn everything into a song. Everything got turned into a commercial or a song, and music was just something that was always in my spirit. And as I got a little bit older, I started taking voice lessons when I was probably about, I want to say maybe 8 years old.
Yeah.
And always been in choirs and choruses throughout school, and I was in bands. I was actually a drummer in school bands and concert bands and jazz bands, marching bands. I was a little drummer girl.
Ah, a drummer. There you go.
Yeah. Yep.
Surprises all the way.
So music's just always been part of me, and I'm a visual artist as well, and so always took classes geared towards music and art and things like that. But my family was not terribly convinced that would, be a very flourishing career for me. So they always kind of encouraged me to do something that was a bit more conventional. But I always had music as part of everything that I did. So when I graduated high school, I went to college, but I went to college for political science and pre-law. But while I was there, I was in folk choir and gospel choir, and I was doing auditions for MTV, got some callbacks for that, and but I was working full-time and going to college full-time, so it wasn't really all that easy to really pursue everything as much as I'd like to while trying to get through my bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Florida after I graduated college, and I auditioned for American Idol and did some other things, did some singing contests around Florida, and I had been writing for forever. I've been writing for probably about 15 years or so.
Oh,
so writing's always been So writing's been a huge part of the journey. And then in 2009, I lost my job. I was a college recruiter for Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida, and I had lost my job, and I was like, well, I can't find work doing what I don't want to do in the first place. I'm going to try and pursue this on a full-time basis. Yeah. So I raised $5,155 in 32 days through something called Kickstarter.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, wow.
And I funded my first EP. That's how I had no body of work to really speak of, so I did a cover song to help promote the campaign. I sang Fallen by Alicia Keys, which was something that I had sang a lot for all the contests I had done and, throughout the years, and I had sang it at a few weddings. People had me come in to sing for their weddings, and I literally raised all this money just because people knew that this was my dream. And people just stood behind it and were, ready to help me make it a reality. And while I was raising the money, my apartment got broken into.
Oh, dear.
And and so I was forced into kind of a crazy living situation, and I sold everything that I owned to kind of just keep everything going, keep the project going. I sold everything that I owned. I sublet it in an apartment, and then ended up renting a room because the sublease ended. And
wow, dedication for you. That first EP that you did, was that Screaming to Be Free, Back With You, and Over Now? Were they the tunes on there? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the project that came from that. And actually, I ran out of money for my project, and because just the craziness of everything going on and trying to survive and making sure that I committed to finishing it.
Yeah.
And what actually ended up happening, I ended up living out of my car for 4 months to finish the project.
Wow.
So,
that was
but I finished it. I finished it, and I planned my whole EP release party while living out of my car. And I had about 10 sponsors as part of it, and about 15 artists come and perform as guest artists to help celebrate the release of it.
Wow.
So, and once I had set my goal, that was it. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to do it. And so I did it by any means necessary, and it was a great feeling to know that, against all odds, that I could have made it happen. So it was a tremendous experience.
Massive determination. I think that's absolutely great. Raising $5,155 in 32 days. How did you do that? Just through musical things, or through all sorts of things?
So I just asked everybody. I realized that there's so much power in that. If you never ask, the answer is always no.
Absolutely.
And so I just kept asking people. So anytime I had a show, I promoted. I used social networking I really used social networking more than anything. Yes. Like, social networking was the most powerful tool that I had to make it happen. And so I really I plugged away every single day. I talked about it. I did updates. I did, I write a lot, so I would do written updates about what I was doing. Yeah. I would take pictures at the studio. I had already saved up some money before I got started so that I could go into the studio. So I was taking photos at the studio and just sharing some of my work. I was sharing some behind-the-scenes stuff to show what was going into making it happen. And I just really did my best to make a believer of everyone. And I was very blessed and fortunate that I was able to really do that in a real way. And I would say social networking was one of the key factors in making it a reality.
Oh, that's fantastic. So going back just a little bit then, when you were a kid, what was your first ever live performance? Can you remember what it was?
From the best of my memory, it was from my voice lessons, and I took lessons from this man named Jerry Granahan, who actually got inducted into the Rhode Island Hall of Fame for music not too long ago. And because I grew up in Rhode Island, I didn't grow up in New York. And I remember one of the very first songs performing live was Whitney Houston's One Moment in Time.
Sure.
And but he had me training on a lot of Karen Carpenter and a lot of Anne Murray. That's whose music I sang a lot. And but that's one of the very first songs that I can remember. And the first song that I ever recorded in the studio was Let It Snow. I did a Christmas song, and I still have it. I have it on cassette tape. And it's a great memory, and it's a great souvenir to bring out during the holidays and kind of play for people. And it's so nostalgic, and it's been a long journey, but it feels like I'm finally doing what has always been in my heart to do, and it took a long time for me to be able to really do it in a real way. Yeah. But it was just a matter of time. It really was just a matter of time.
Wow. So who were your idols then? Who were your musical idols as you were growing up?
So I grew up listening to a very, very, very healthy dose of the Beatles.
Yeah.
I was partially raised by another woman that was kind of like my guardian angel growing up. My mom was or my mom is manic depressive, and my father was an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. So I was taken in by another family, and we listened to a ton of Beatles, like tons and tons. Breakfast with the Beatles on Saturday mornings, and just Beatles all day long, like to a point where one night in the middle of the night I woke up in my sleep and started singing the Beatles in my sleep, and then went back to sleep. Like, we listened to so much Beatles. But I also listened to a lot of like Ray Charles, Ella Fitzgerald.
Wow.
And my brothers listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin, and the woman that helped raise me, she listened to a lot of like musicals and big band stuff.
Yeah.
So that was always in my spirit. And then, man, I don't know. I just listen. I'm a fan of music. I don't have a specific genre that I like to stick to. I love how music makes me feel. So whatever music that is, that's what I listen to. I listen to Enigma, so kind of like new age.
Yeah.
And then hip-hop. As I got older, hip-hop became more and more prevalent within the music that I listened to.
Very
that's
varied,
become
sort of listening to music. But what was coming out there, to be honest, Catherine, was a whole mixture of very vocal artists. You know, you Whitney Houston, you Ray Charles. You also spoke about Karen Carpenter. I mean, these are all very different, but all very vocal artists, if you know what I mean. So,
right.
yeah, great influences, and lovely to talk about them. I also had a look at your videos for Screaming to Be Free. First of all, I guess was the original version, a wonderful video there, and also the reggae version as well. And so the video for the original, loads of outfits, I will say. You must have changed 100 times. I've never seen so many outfits.
People mention that a lot. What's funny was I mentioned that I lived out of my car. And while we were shooting that video, I was living out of my car. And even the director was like, man, you got a lot of clothes in here. I was like, I have all of my clothes in here. So it was, in the beginning of the video, you see my truck. I have a white Jeep, and that's the truck that you see. Ah. And that was where my wardrobe was. That was my dressing room. But I love dresses, and even, while I was going through everything, I did my best to never appear as what I was going through. And that was part of my testament of just hope, you know what I mean? And sometimes that's what you need to do to help get you through things, is to look better than you feel. And then eventually you'll catch up to how you look, you know what I mean? So to get your spirits back up to where you need to be. But yeah, I'm a girly girl, and I love the dresses and the heels and all of that, and yep.
Yeah, you certainly got through a few outfits in that video, that's for sure. And, no, it's a great video. Loved it. I loved the tune as well. And that sort of takes me over to my next thing about the reggae version. I mean, did you record that in Jamaica from the video?
I did. I did another fundraiser. I did an Indiegogo campaign and raised about $3,000, give or take. And I was trying to do a full-length project, but it wasn't enough money to do what I wanted to do. And it was just a set of circumstances that led me to know an individual at a Starbucks that I frequented, who had a friend who was a reggae artist who lived in Washington State but was from Jamaica, and passed along some of my music to him. And he was like, I love this song. I really would love to do a verse on it. And so we started corresponding, and he called me one day and was like, I love it, but I think we need to go to Jamaica to do this. We need to record this in Jamaica and make this authentic. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know if I can really do that. Like, I'm I was like, I'm just an independent artist here. I do everything on my own. I don't really know anything. And so Plenty Mac was the one who really set the wheels in motion to make all of that a reality. And he, introduced me to Clive Hunt, who was the musical director for the song. Yeah. Clive Hunt brought in all of the musicians, and we got that project done within 3.5 days. I flew into Kingston, met Plenty Mac for the first time ever, getting off the plane. We went directly to Tuff Gong, and I had just a carry-on for me for the flight. And we got off the plane. I opened my carry-on that they had made me check my bag as I was boarding the plane in Florida. And they had me check my bag. I opened my bag. They had crushed my computer. So I had no computer for the entire time that we were there, and we got the project done from start to finish, like I said, in 3.5 days. Wow. All of the musicians, all of the vocals, everything was done, mixed, everything at Tough Gong and House of Hits in Kingston. And I basically just saw the 4 walls of a studio and the bedroom that I slept in those 3 days that we were there. And that's all we did was work. And we got it done, and it was, I feel like it was what that song really needed. I love the original version, but the reggae version, I feel, really brings it to life in a whole different way. And that whole experience of going to Kingston and working with Clive Hunt, it was life-changing.
It was very authentic.
As an independent, as an independent artist I have no management here. I'm doing everything on my own. I manage myself, promote myself, book myself. I do everything on my own. To be able to have that experience and to have done it so independently was incredible. And still to this day, it's like a kind of a surreal experience.
Yeah, that was the first tune we played on Ramjam, was the reggae version of Screaming to Be Free, which was received extremely well on the breakfast show, which is the show that I do. So everybody loved it. And, we have an online chat room so that people can actually talk to the DJ during the show. So there's good interaction between the listeners and the DJ, rather than it just being, when someone might phone in or whatever. So there's a constant conversation going on, if you like, about the music or whatever, what people want to talk about. But when I played Screaming to Be Free, there were lots of questions coming back. Who is this? And where has it come from? Is this a signed artist, etc., etc.? So there's loads of interest, which was great. And of course that sort of prompted us to give you a call, and you've been talking to Anna from Ramjam Radio. She's
right.
I
love her. She's been so helpful. I love her so much.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we love her too.
Yeah.
she's very, very helpful with Ramjam Radio and making sure that us DJs are where we should be when we should be, because we're not very good at that kind of thing. So that's really good. So moving on a little bit from Screaming to Be Free, I also noticed, actually, going on to videos, you did a video with Kanye West.
Oh yeah, I'm in the video for Monster by Kanye West. But the video was never officially released by MTV or BET or any of those stations that would normally play his music here in the States. Because it was too controversial in nature.
Yes.
So he ended up releasing it through blogs and through his own website. Yeah. But I am in the music video for it, and if you can find a decent video version of it through the blogs and on. I don't know if it's still on his site anymore, but I think I still have the link for where you can find a good version of it. But it's very dark. The lyrical content is kind of dark, and the video content is a little bit misogynistic, and so that was really the basis for the networks, as far as I know, as far as it was communicated, of why they were unwilling to release it in any other way. But so I did that, and that was incredible, to be part of something like that, and obviously Kanye West, such a major artist in this time.
Wow.
So.
There you go.
Cool.
All good experience as well, which is great. The song Give Love to Get Love, you did a special Ramjam mix of that. Thank you so much for that. Well, tell us a little bit about that tune.
Well, actually, I wrote that right before I went to Jamaica. I went to Florida.
Yeah.
The Jamaica trip was kind of a sub-trip as part of my trip to Florida. I was going down to Florida to work with a producer named Dwayne Carter, and he has produced a few other songs for me. And we went there. I went to Florida, and basically I stayed with him for maybe 3 days, and he built the track from the ground up, and I wrote as he was putting it all together. And it was all of my songs are bits and pieces of my life. They're kind of glimpses into my reality, and that song I definitely think is just part of it's the evolution of when you meet someone and you're like, well, I don't really have time for this. Like, I don't have to, you know, it's that typical thing that you say that a woman or man says to another, and when they're trying to do other things in their life, they're trying to pursue their career or school or whatever it is. But then you realize as time goes on, if you give the person a little attention, and you realize that, oh, I might be missing out on something if I don't give something of myself. But if I only give half of myself, I'm only going to get that in return. So I really, like, if you're willing to give your heart to me, it's only fair that I do the same for you. And so that kind of that concept, and that's, it's like the golden rule, you know, you have to treat others as you want to be treated, and you really have to truly give love to receive love. And you have to be open and willing to do that to make that a reality and to have real love. And so I was very, very pleased to finish that song back here in New York. I actually recorded it with King Sage. He did the engineering and the mix on it. Yeah. And he's been working on most of my upcoming projects. King Sage, he's based out of Queens. And we've found a great musical match within us, and a great understanding of just who we are as people and who we are as really just musical people more than anything. Yeah,
that's always good when you're working with people in that situation, that you have that level of understanding, because, you know, they know what you're trying to produce and vice versa. It works very well.
Right. So, and I was excited to have some new music for you. You know, I was so honored to be a featured artist with you that I wanted to be able to extend my gratitude in some way, and I thought, you know, what better way than to give you a song.
That's amazing. So, I can when it came through, Anna sent it through to me, and it had Ramjam mix on it, and I said to her, "Is that official?" And she said, "Yeah, that's official." So thank you so much. That's wonderful. Just absolutely great. So looking at him or the music, was that a decision that you had to make, and did you write a song about it?
Well, actually, the story behind that, it's actually a female response to a hip-hop artist. The original song was called Her or the Music.
I like it.
And it's by an artist named Sonny G. And he's based out of, I'm going to say South Carolina, North Carolina. I'm terrible, but Myrtle Beach, that area. Yeah. And so this promoter had found me online through social networking, and she was originally from New England, where I'm from, but Massachusetts, right next to Rhode Island. And she was like, I really love your spirit, I love your music. And she had Screaming to Be Free. Great. And fell in love with that song. And so she told me about this and asked me to come down to record the song. So I went to Myrtle Beach, and I recorded him or the music there. I wrote on my way there, and what you call it? I got the R&B version done while I was there, and recorded at Ocean Studios down in Myrtle Beach. And then I came back to New York, and I co-wrote the remix with Neville Green, who's from Australia. He's a bass player that I work with. Yeah. But the song is obviously the female response to the original song, but there's definitely some truth in it. You know, the balance of trying to, again, it's like give love to get love. The balance of trying to have love and try to make literally a dream come true is it's not really an easy task. And so his song is really about the girl posing an ultimatum to him, really literally saying her or the music. And the reason I found it really necessary to do the remix also was because I feel like it's possible to have both. And so the remix talks about, you know, I'll compromise and I'll sacrifice, but I can't change who I am. So we have to find a way to be able to make this work and do both at the same time. So that's kind of what that song is about, and there's definitely some truth in there. I can't help but put part of myself in all of my music because that's my outlet, and that's ultimately how I want to touch people, is by letting people know that they're not alone. And that's what music has always been to me, is been a friend and a psychiatrist, and like anytime I needed something, there was always a song to fit the bill for what I was going through.
so lovely that you shared that with us. That's really great. Thank you so much. Not many people, when you speak to them, they sort of share things in that depth, and that's really lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So what's in the future then for HOX?
Well, I'm currently working on a full-length project called Journey of a Gemini.
Yeah.
I'm performing all throughout New York City. I'm trying to get some shows lined up outside of New York City, possibly on the West Coast, maybe in California.
Very nice.
Ultimately, I would love to come overseas, to come perform. Live music is really, I would say if I had to pick between recording and performing, I would perform.
You look happy on the stage, I must admit. I've seen you on stage in a few of your videos, and you do look very, very comfortable there.
Thank you. Well, that's the thing, like, a lot of people will hear my music and be like, oh, it's good music, but when they come to a show, that's when they really experience the music.
Yeah.
You know, with the full band, and it's just a different experience, and I really feel like that's what breathes the life into the music.
Atmosphere.
Yeah. So that's, the main thing is the full-length project right now. So that's where most of my energy and attention is going.
Yeah.
And other than that, like I said, trying to possibly put some things into motion to come overseas. I would also love a return trip to Jamaica to work on some more reggae music.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah, and I've been in correspondence with Limey Murray, who did the backup vocals, and Clive Hunt, who is the musical director, and we've been talking about it. So it's, the seed is planted.
Sounds good to me.
So,
excellent. And certainly Ramjam Radio will be interested in anything you're doing going forward. So please stay in touch with us
yes.
and keep us informed of all the things that you're doing, because, we're very, very interested, and I love the energy that comes from your song, starting with Screaming to Be Free, because that's the first one that we ever received and played of yours, and just loving it, really. I'm going to ask you a favour. Okay. Would you do me a jingle that I can play alongside your feature?
Okay. Yeah, I can do it now if you'd like.
Wonderful.
Do you want me are you ready whenever?
I'm ready whenever.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, this is HOX, and you're tuned in to Ramjam Radio. Stay tuned.
Perfect. That's absolutely lovely, and that's all I needed. Just over the top.
Oh, okay.
That's wonderful. Is there anything you want to tell the Ramjam listeners about you that I haven't asked you yet?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I can just say, honestly, as an artist in New York, it's incredibly challenging to make things happen, and I've definitely been faced with a lot of challenges along the way. And so I really want to be a very bright light in a very dark time. We live in a time where the economy is bad, especially where I live. There's so much going on throughout the world, but just that people stay encouraged, that people use music as an outlet. And I just pray that I can be a positive force when so many terrible things are going on in the world. If I can just play some small part in making it better, I would be so blessed and honored to play that role for someone. I don't know if it will be masses of people, but if I can at least be that to someone, I will be thankful. And I'm so thankful to y'all for giving me the opportunity to share my music and to shed some light. I really, really appreciate it.
And we really, really appreciate you. And I think with an attitude like that, you'll be just fine. How wonderful. There you go. That's great. If there's anything else you'd like to tell us, then please feel free to do so. Otherwise, I'll let you get on and have a really blessed day. And it's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I really, truly appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to tuning in. I still have no computer, by the way. From that story about the computer getting crushed, I should have a computer in the next week or so.
There you go.
It'll make it much easier to tune in as well.
So, yeah, but you can't tune in with a crushed computer, that's for sure. But no problem. We're going to have all your mini casts for all of your features. And
okay, perfect.
You have a wonderful day, and I hope the weather improves in New York. And we'll speak to you again sometime. Take care.
All right, thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you too. You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. The wonderful KF HOX. Wasn't that story great? All of the things that happened, and the lady there living in her car and so on, and getting through just to get that first EP done, sold everything she owned. Absolutely amazing story. There you go, Ramjammers. KF HOX. Now, if you want to listen again, there'll be a link sent through on Twitter from Ramjam Radio. Also, I would imagine that KF HOX will be sending forward to all of her followers on Twitter. It will also be on my podcast. That's djgloss.podomatic.com. And there will also be a release on YouTube. So there are many, many ways that you can listen again to the KF HOX interview. Absolutely awesome. What a wonderful lady.